Alright, draft physics, draft science video. Oops, I don't need to do that. Just checking to see if it's recording, comments and such. So really annoying comments actually. No one ever comments in the sense of answers any of my questions regarding like even the two slit experiment, that it seems clear that the more slits I add, it gets obvious that images are being sent to the different locations. Images of whatever goes in. It's an image of what comes out. And why that wouldn't apply also to two slits in one slit. That you're just getting an image of the surfaces that you're hitting the light with, and wave interference would destroy an image. Huygens. No image value would be retained. So anyway, how do you answer that question? How do you first prove that there's not images being sent? Do you have evidence that they're not images? And if they are images, how do you explain how wave interference creates images, or how Feynman's universal randomness, how randomness would send images to locations? So anyway, do you have an explanation for how 3D space came into existence? It's a dumb thing to ask anybody. What exists beyond the edge of space, and what existed before space? So again, this always comes down to this. These people are just obsessed with origins, and you're never going to get a satisfactory answer. And what do you think the answer is going to be? We're robots. I mean, it's just a fact, okay? Everything I do has byproduct of the environment that has poked me and jabbed me. And every response, every movement of my hands, putting my left sock on before my right sock, whatever I do, it's all programs, idiot. There's nothing creative in any real sense. It's just a program, a chain reaction, a byproduct of causes and effects. And that's all there are. And yeah, okay, compared to the other animals, we have a great deal of variety in our programming. But we're just as programmed. It's just robotics. It's just a bunch of events piling on top of events, piling on top of events, and it creates little piles of sand. And we call that individuality. No, they're just little piles of sand. And the answer is going to be that crappy about why there is something versus nothing. The answer is just going to be some simple thing like, well, because nothing was impossible. Some kind of dopey thing like that. That's all there's going to be. There's not going to be a great answer. We're not the purpose of the universe. Making robots. What purpose is there making programmed machines? There's no purpose in that. Oh, whatever. If I told you, so Robert Ritchie, who's whatever, like, oh yeah, he has all the secrets. 4 days till he reveals the big, he figured it out thing on the two slit experiment. If I told you, you would not understand. It's so patronizing. I will leave this for a comment when DraftScience discusses possible universe theories. Why would I discuss possible theories? We have absolutely no evidence. So what, are we just going to make up shit? I mean, the evidence I have is that the cause and effect seems really rock solid as a theory. Okay, causes and effects. No evidence of magic or randomness or any of that crap, or spontaneous. No. It's all bullshit. None of that's real. So what's the answer? Oh, the answer is, oh yeah, you reduce the universe down to its simple elements, and somehow the elements exist. That's the way it is. Period. The story's not going to be any more interesting than that. Alright, my Yule CCS, you crack me up, Robert. Yeah, well. Irritation, crack up, I don't know, same thing maybe. A conventional explanation for the question is that God created it. I don't know if that's conventional, but that's what the idiocracy says. And I don't think it's worth time arguing it. I don't think there's any evidence to argue, so therefore there's nothing to argue. Yes, there's no facts beyond the fact that cause and effect is real. And there's no reason to think we're anything other than just ABC, blocks, just rearranged. We're made out of something much simpler, and its agenda is just doing this combining thing, and in the process of that combining thing by rules where things that are incompatible can't exist because they'll destroy each other, certain forms of complexity can rise out of the simple patterns. All right, you said God, not me. I guess they are reasonable questions. No, they're not really. If you think you understand physics on that level, there's no understanding it on that level. So who could think they understand on that level but a God nut? There's nothing to understand. You're not going to get a videotape of origins. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to get any hard evidence of origins. So even if somebody gave you the process, they gave you some idea that the universe has built into it error code, and every gazillion years it out of the error code it makes a particle that moves the speed of light, a photon. And after gazillions of gazillions of gazillions of permutations of these gazillions of errors, you end up with a gazillion photons. If that's the answer, what is that going to tell you? That there's no level. That's not going to tell you anything. It's not going to enlighten you in any way. You know what all this stuff inside of space is doing, but you don't understand where the stuff itself comes from. I know where it comes from. It comes from cause and effect. So there was obviously some kind of rudimentary cause, but the cause was as simple as a photon banging into an electron. It wasn't some magical cause. And what was before? You would think you'd have at least partial answers. Why would I think I would have a partial answer to something that could have happened a gazillion years ago? Jesus Christ. You should be to-go guy to ask about mechanism of why, how all this stuff is here in the first place. Again, it's just such an amazing statement. Why should anybody be the go-to guy for that information? I'm supposed to tell you what happened a gazillion years ago. I can't tell you who the first human being was. I can't tell you his name. Can't tell you how tall he was. Can't tell you what color eyes he had. Can't tell you a damn thing about. Well, probably brown. I can't even do that, and you're saying I should be able to tell you what the origin of the universe is. You're a fucktard. Logically, without a doubt, something must always have existed without beginning, says you. Who knows? Either answer, you go with infinity or you don't go with infinity, you're going to run into paradoxes and problems. So that's why the answer is just useless. There's no point in playing with it. If it arose in a moment, then the potential for it to rise had to exist forever. Right? Logically. So it's almost the same thing. But how are you going to know? You can't know. No, not God, and I'm not religious. Well, clearly you are, in a sense. You're a phantasmagorical, unicorn-believing poofter. If this is what your brain does. Physics is giving you retarded answers for basic questions. Bent space. Well, why do planets move into the sun? Oh, because the space is bent. Why do magnets attract and repel? Oh, because there's a virtual photon thing that does stuff. And this is the questions you're asking those idiots. Something cannot come out of nothing or absolute non-existence. Well, say, again, another statement by you. Where did you get the proof of that? Where's your evidence? You don't have any evidence. The notion of a first cause is the notion of a first cause. It's like, oh yeah, well, what do you do with that? And again, if you think it's infinite, doesn't infinite sort of also say, well, what do you mean? It just infinitely keeps beginning? Because that's what it would have to do, right? The infinite would still have to be beginning somewhere, wouldn't it? Infinitely beginning. It doesn't answer any questions. Anyway, it's just so useless a conversation. Excellent video. Okay, not much depth to that, but we'll take it. I mean, it's better than this other crap. Alright, so Dick Woodman. If everything is made up of force bits, then that would explain E equals mc squared. Well, not entirely. look, if the electrons, let's just say theoretically all you had was electrons in the universe, and there was no force, well, they wouldn't do anything. They wouldn't move, and they couldn't attract or repel because there's no force to push them anywhere. There's no mover. Do they still have mass? Maybe. Can it be relevant? No. So it's an open question whether what percentage of mass just has to do with how much force things can trap. So the fact that electrons can hold a certain amount of mass doesn't mean that how do I put this? That they could be made of it. They don't have to be made of it. I mean, you can do it either way, and it works. You can have the electron as a non-mass thing that just holds force, or you can have it as a thing that contains force and exchanges force, and both could work. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I think that's an incredible insight. Yeah, well, I think you take it too far. But this sentence is the one that's going to take it too far. It would also mean that matter must gain mass as it picks up speed because it's absorbing force bits. See, but that's the catch. If it's exchanging them, it's not gaining mass. And what it's doing is changing its mass. That is, it's gaining more mass in a direction. So it's more massive in the direction it's moving, but in the other directions, it's less massive. It'd be harder to hit. So if you wanted to stop it or move it or change its direction, it's easy to do hitting it forward because it's real easy to hit stuff coming at you. But because it's getting less and less massive in these other directions, it'd be really hard to hit it this way. So it's getting less massive in the sense that any force acting on it, like gravity, can't act on it. So the faster it's going in this direction, the less massive it's getting in this direction, so you can't move it. You can't bend it. And that's what you see. The faster something's going, the less it's bent. Well, the less it's bent is because you can't hit it. It's has less substance in the direction you're trying to hit. And that would point to the fact that Einstein is completely wrong about photons being bent by gravity. Because by going the speed of light, all their mass is in one direction. They have no mass in any other direction, so you cannot possibly push them faster, and you can't bend them sideways, but they don't have any mass sideways. They only have mass in the direction they're going. Alright. Must gain mass as it picks up speed because it's absorbing force bits. So absorbing and exchanging is the key word there. So I would argue it's exchanging force bits, not absorbing. It's absorbing them, obviously. It takes something in, so it's absorbing it, but it's making an exchange. So the more precise word would be exchange, not absorb. It's not that mass approaches infinity as you approach the speed of light. And that's true. It's that you just become less massive in any other direction but the one you're moving in. You become more massive in the direction you're moving and less massive in every other direction. It's also not that you become lighter as you approach the speed of light. Yes, it is. You become lighter in every other direction except the direction you're moving. In the direction you're moving, you're quite menacing. The speeding bullet is quite dangerous in the direction it's going. Not dangerous at all in the other directions. As I've heard you say, instead you get heavier, but at the same time everything is going to... I never said you get heavier. But at the same time, everything that's going to push you to increase your speed has to have been brought up to at least equal the speed as you. Well, the point is the faster I'm going in a direction means more of my bits are going in that direction, and it's harder to catch them. Yes, simple enough. You don't need energy of all matter in the universe to reach the speed of light. Well, yeah, you would, if it's matter. Theoretically, you need a lot of energy. Not all the energy in the universe, but you need a lot because it's going to be really hard to hit the one little piece that's left inside the matter going the wrong way. We can only make electrons go 99.999% because of drag. Well, says you. I don't think they go that fast anyway. Not because it is getting infinitely heavy. I don't think electrons ever go that fast. They can transfer force very quickly, but they themselves will never go that fast. It's heavier, but not nearly that much. I don't think that's true either. But you're still right that even if something went the speed of light, it would no longer be matter. Well, that's the real important point. If all the fish in the school of fish are going the same way, then they're just fish. You know, a lot of fish heading right for you. It is a subtle concept. I'm not good with English, but I hope you will ponder it. Well, I've already pondered, so whatever. Look, Gary, this guy talks about how pitiful the state of physics is, and he's talking about you after 6:20. Have you tried to send this guy an email? I actually did, 4 years ago or something, as I saw that video. And but then I just saw him on the Joe Rogan show, and he was talking some kind of string theory or some kind of wacky shit. And it's just like, you know, he's another guy off the reservation. I mean, he knows they're wrong, but his right answer is wrong. Hey Gary, did you hear about how Pioneer spacecraft slows down, and it was a huge mystery to those scientists? Yeah, it was a tiny amount. Let's be sure about that first off. So it seems likely that it's some you know, some little thing they just didn't imagine could have been important. It doesn't seem like a drag issue because it's so little drag. Do you agree that because of the heat, or would you say that the effect of drag? Yeah, well, I have no opinion. It's so, again, the amount is so tiny that, you know, I mean, the heat explanation seems viable. I don't know why NASA itself couldn't figure it out. I mean, as a closed system, they could sit there and look at the system and say, which way does our closed system leak energy? And you think they could figure out that, oh yeah, it does leak energy that way. But I don't know how they can figure out a lot of things, like how they can be certain about how much crap the spacecraft actually hits. So there's drag in the sense that there's particles that you're hitting as you go through space, and so you would imagine that over time those particles would have some effect, and I don't know if they can totally account for that. Alright, hey Gary, how come you don't do live rooms anymore? Because everybody in them is a retard. I mean, if I had some kind of better conversation, it might be worth it, but I just end up going over the same crap over and over and over, and it's just, what's the point? There's no point in making videos if people aren't going to go to the trouble to watch them. When a black force bit meets a red force bit perpendicular in the matter bit, the black changes its direction to the opposite direction. The red moves in and vice versa. Is this a silly idea? The point is what comes out is, the point is to recognize that the reflection argument is really simple. Okay, because then you have the ping pong balls getting trapped. Now the question is the red one, the opposite ball that doesn't just pass through it. It does in fact go in a direction. That's how magnets work. So you sort of know from magnets that something has to take a red bit that hits the black part of the magnet and make it go out the red part of the magnet. So somehow it has to change its direction to be, you know, to be segregated. So yeah, and it's just figuring out how that interaction takes place without causing a momentum issue. Let's see how else to say that. Yeah, that's enough said. I mean, it'd be easy just to say there's some kind of interaction, just, you know, black hits red and they exchange their directions. But that wouldn't allow for a difference in the momentum. But a right angle is a different kind of action, right? So something being turned 90 degrees is a lot different than something being turned 180 degrees. And we know the exchange, the reflection, isn't a reflection. It doesn't bounce off. it exchanges this for this and causes momentum as a byproduct. Two quanta of momentum. One piece of momentum from getting rid of something going the wrong way, one piece of momentum in keeping something going the right way. So you get rid of something going the wrong way and you keep something going the right way. So it's a twofer for the reflection. So so it might be that simple, just because the 90-degree turn is still going to be less energy. All right. Change in direction to the opposite direction. The red moves. Okay, whatever. I prefer the idea of two fundamental forces completely ignore each other. Yeah, well, there's no point in. I'm just saying that doesn't really answer the question. Doesn't complete the story, because the assumption that force bits can interact in a matter bit is annoying principle to me. Well, the idea that they only can interact by interacting as matter is the conduit makes perfect sense for everything we see. It's why charge works, it's why magnets work, it's why everything works, is because the force fields can't bounce off of each other. The force has to go to the matter and affect it, and this thing's force has to hit this bit to affect it. There's no affecting something force on force. It has to go through the conduit of the matter. I heard somewhere the rotational speed of the Earth is getting slower. Well, that's sort of a vague reference. I don't think they have any proof of that one. And slower. If this is true and that it is caused by drag, well, I don't know what drag against what. It'd be silly to argue, I think. Maybe on a macro level and in the very long term, matter can be stopped by the drag. Well, that'd be arguing that the moon should have been stopped a long time ago. So I don't see any point in it. I'm wondering what's that flashing light in the background. It's a flashing light in the background. I don't know what this was. 9202. Why the fuck would somebody type shit like that? 19202. February 2nd was important? Fuck you. According to the internet, the human retina can detect single photons. Yeah, well, Robert, what the fuck is that kind of comment mean? According to the internet. That's a lie. I mean, you really think the most websites on the internet that reference how much light the human eye can see say that it can see a single photon? No, I'd say the vast majority. 99% of them say that lots of other animals see much smaller amounts of light than we do. Have much more sensitive retinas. So I don't even understand what you're saying. That's not what the internet says. Fuck, stupid comments. Alright, this was the king of stupid comments. This Dar-on-D guy again. Alright, in the first year, the English here is so bad that you're just like, I don't know how, can't translation software do better than this? In the first year of university, with no right to appeal yet, I don't know what that means. In those rooms, firstly, you have to listen, plus observe, plus comprehend. Well, how do you comprehend when somebody's saying something stupid? I mean, somebody can tell me some Jonah Fish story. How do I comprehend it? So, fuck that. An observation in what context? I set up the experiment to prove a point, like the radar experiment. I engineer it for a specific purpose. I don't let you observe it doing things I don't want you to see. I only let you observe what I want you to see. How is that going to help you? You get such experiments. Number one. So he's got, this is all crap I've already seen. A single hair experiment, and some other version of that. Just all crap I've seen. List of Wikipedia page that lists interferometers. I've already pointed out all the flaws in the interferometer, asshole. Why don't you explain how the beam splitter works? Why don't you explain to me how a mirrored piece of glass at a 45-degree angle with 50-50 mirror on it. So the light reflects off the first surface of the glass. At least 25% of the light is already reflecting just off the glass layer, shithead. How's the 50-50 going to help you now? You've already lost 25% of the light, jackass. I mean, you don't deal with any of my points. It's just so obnoxious. Alright. Those prove light is a wave. No, they don't prove anything. Proof is by preponderance, by a volume of evidence. Really, really insanely great evidence, like a videotape, or a bunch of little pieces of evidence, and so many of them that you just can't escape the conclusion. That's what a proof is made out of, shithead. Beyond reasonable doubt. You think you've proven beyond reasonable doubt, you shithead? No, I'm sorry, not even fucking close. If you don't agree, yeah, that's right, I don't agree, jackass. Pull up your sleeves and get dirty. Why? I already did that. I demonstrated on my porch that I could create the interference pattern, the circles of the interferometer, without having two beams interact at all. I demonstrated, shithead. Oh, man. Do something and then compare yourself with Feynman. An amazing statement. Feynman never touched an experiment in his fucking life. So what the fuck are you talking about? Feynman's no demonstration of a guy who has any integrity as a scientist in a sense. This asshole Feynman, I sorry, anybody, as soon as you're just going to bring him up, like I said, I had nothing against Tesla, I have nothing against Feynman. Likable fellows in some respects. But as soon as you assholes are going to say they're God, I'm going to have to knock them down. Because that's just absolute bullshit. Feynman was a douchebag. He used an analogy of raindrops running in the rain to analogize photons traveling through atoms. You think that's rational? Comparing something moving at a constant speed of light in a field of atoms that are mostly empty space and analogizing it to running in the rain? Do you think that's what a physicist should fucking do? And this is the same asshole who tells us that he can borrow energy from a vacuum and give it back in the future, that he can mathematically explain how one electron is doing all the actions in the entire universe. It's everywhere at once. Because his math says it's possible. And you're going to tell me I should listen to that douchebag, or I should give a fuck? You stupid cunt. So then he sits there and posts a link to another Feynman piece of, like, I've seen all the Feynman clips. He's a douche, jackass. And so he says, prove, arrow, experiment. No, prove means evidence. There's no waves. Feynman didn't believe in waves, idiot. So you start this crap by saying, do you believe in waves? Those prove light is a wave. I can show you the Feynman clip. I've already played it 4 times on this channel. Do I have to do it 5 times? Where Feynman says, I wish they didn't teach that it's a wave, because it's not. It doesn't work that way. It's a corpuscle. He says it, you stupid cunt. Man, you clueless, patronizing bastard. Okay, then you do Wikipedia page to interference colors in a soap film. You think I'm not aware of that, you jackass? You stupid fuck. A hint for here. Fuck you. The complete destructive interference in the black spot is due to repelling of such quanta. No one is talking about positive wave pressure combined with negative one or particle annihilation. Well, should I play you the Professor Lewin clip where he's going photon plus photon equals darkness? No photon. I mean, you're telling me that they don't believe. No, that's what they believe, asshole. There's no other explanation, because then they have to say, oh no, the photon is just moved to a different position. Well, if it's just moved to a different position, lots of things can cause photons to move, right? Well, what do you think is making it move? What? How's it doing any of that crap, shithead? How does the force act on the force to move the force? The conservation of energy is never proven wrong. It's never accounted for. They don't account for it anywhere in their equations. They never deal with it. They just pretend that there's no photon there. They don't tell you it jumped over here or it jumped over there. And they certainly don't tell you which way it jumped. Did it jump left or did it jump right? Which way did it go? And again, as I've already demonstrated, they're images. You can't make an image by taking some part of the image and pushing it over here or here. If I do that, the image isn't going to look right, is it? No, it's going to get all fucked up. How come it's not a fucked up image? with a diffraction gradient. Huh? Why don't you explain that, shithead? I mean, in the Feynman clip, Feynman's actually talking about evidence and how we guess. And then we try to make our guess, and we see if we test our guess. And the whole point here is that they did guess, and they didn't fairly test their guess. They wanted it to be a certain thing, and they clearly ignored any evidence that would indicate otherwise. Again, they focus on the two-slit experiment because the two-slit experiment makes it obvious that you can make two waves. Well, where's the two waves? How do you make two waves with a single slit, shithead? Without pulling it out of a hat. They just make up a bullshit story about how, well, the middle of the wave is here, and, everything else theoretically cancels each other out, and all you're left is with the middle thing in the middle, because everything on the right cancels everything on the left if you just cut it in the middle, right? And so I'll just pretend the middle thing is meaningful. Now I have middle wave over left this side and wave over this side. It's a complete made up pile of shit. I mean, you're an amazing douchebag. Alright, maybe you can take a chance. Fuck you. I wouldn't bother doing it. What chance do I have to take? I've already demonstrated it. You just keep pretending I haven't made these points. Okay, number one, they're images when there's more than two slits, which indicates something. Number two, the bar pattern. Why don't you explain to me? So why sometimes is the pattern little circles, and then sometimes they're clear little rectangles? Why don't you answer the fucking question, douche? Why don't you attempt it, douche? Some more crap. Wikipedia page, quantum. Oh, I'm sure that's a brilliant page. Planck constant, Planck-Einstein relation. Oh, I'm sure that's all relevant to nothing. Oh, what an asshole. Have you ever seen a scientist, not lab rat, but true storage of coherent interlocked meaning? What the fuck could that possibly mean? I mean, there's no way you wrote that in some language that can't be. No translator could turn this into such gibberish. It had to be gibberish to start with. To be more focused on the stupidity of others than on the point. The point is if you're going to tell somebody you've got the wrong idea and there's a better idea, then you have to do both things. You have to first prove why their idea is already inadequate, and you prove why yours is superior. That's the agenda, jackass. Fuck, I'm going to prove you wrong by not pointing out how you're wrong? You're an asshole. That's a person who did not get enough answers wrong, and that comes with the volumes of activity and or lack of coherence. Like this could mean anything to anybody. What the fuck are you talking about? Which never predicts success in the intended direction. What does this have to do with anything? Like the drunk angry on the metal when repairing the car. Smiley face stuff. Again, gibberish. Can you imagine? No, I can't understand what the fuck you typed. There is also a probability for stupid people to exist, so what's the point? Well, that's kind of scary, isn't it? I agree there might be the probability for an special woman-wife influence, that only thing to bring man in the critical state of extinction, at least portrayed infiltrated like that, because there could be children but estranged. You're fucking I mean, again, I can't imagine a translator this bad. Anyway, I'll just go to the next paragraph because this is just idiotic. People also have duality. Fuck you, it's idiotic. Wave and particles. Fuck you. Baby talk. Fucking, can you understand your translator what a baby talk is? That's fucking baby talk. You might be stuck at the concept of true and not true, whatever that means. But you are sure you comprehend mutually exclusive things? ? Yeah, I comprehend up and down, cause and effect. Yeah, I do. Particles are included in waves. Well, no, they're not. They're really not. They're really not. Go ahead, poke your finger in a bucket of sand and see how many waves you get. Um, Particles can't do, particles aren't, by definition, if somebody says particle to me, am I supposed to know that particle means, oh, it has a partner it's stuck to, and he has a partner stuck to, and he has a partner, they're all holding hands. All the particles are holding hands with other particles. That's the definition of a particle to you, you shithead. Clearly, the waves only work because there's a bunch of forces between the medium, the elements in the medium that are sticking them together. So when one moves, the other one has to get dragged along. That's the only way you can have a wave. Fuck for brain. Oh, God. Patronizing, putrid. Whatever. When you see water waves, there are atoms. Yeah, atoms that are connected to each other because of positive and negative charge of electrons. Retard. The electric force between them. Yeah, exactly. So how is that particle if you're attached to something? When you look at a stadium from above, you see people behaving like waves. Oh, this is just more retarded. Not unless you organize it, right? And then the organization is basically to say, well, behave as if you're connected. Behave as if when you see this, do this, you have to do this, and you have to do that. So behave just like there was a rubber band tying you all together. Oh, you're an idiot. Especially when it's happening, an event to make people to propagate themselves. I don't know. The information, not an explosion, but a stabbing and get stampeded, a Mexican wave, or them stupid running after a ball concerned for the position in the field of others. And again, those are all organized causes and effects, shithead, having to do with mimicking the fact that you can't run faster than the guy in front of you. There's mechanics causing anything that looks like a wave, and that has to do with the creation of pressure and all kinds of influences that don't have anything to do with independent particles. Let's see. I do believe you have potential to make a major change. That's why I took this time. Well, I wish you wouldn't bother with the time, because if you don't do a better job, it's all incomprehensible mush. Focus and don't forget. Fuck you. Why don't you answer my questions, shit for brain? How does a beam splitter work? Draw me a picture, fuckhead. Focus and don't forget that stupid questions demand stupid answers, which doesn't even make any sense. There might be no ghost. Fuck, I don't know what that could mean either. Don't lose time on that. I just wasted time reading your comment. That was one of the worst things I could do, is read your mush. Others are free to take their chance. Stupid laughy face again. Today everything is so fucking complex. No, the truth of our reality isn't complex. Evolution wasn't all that complex. I mean, the evidence for it's been screaming at people for hundreds of years, if not thousands. Not that elusive a truth, shithead. With more and more built up in the public domain, we undoubtedly are left behind. Let's speak for yourself, shit for brain. You're undoubtedly left in your own stupid, obnoxious, drony, Borgy devotion to bullshit you heard when you were 7 years old. Let's not make it even more fucked up situation for ourselves. What by what? Again, doing what you're doing? Talking shit? You prove something? You think there's proof of something that's crap? I mean, evidence that's obviously incredibly weak, and you're calling it proof? Fuck you. Jesus Christ. I'd probably get rid of this flashing light comment. Waste of people's time. How come I don't do live rooms and get rid of that? Useless mush. Anyway. Garbage comments. Sorry, it's just the garbage. Deal with the point. Show somehow how I haven't deconstructed the idea of wave interference being and having any relation to what photons are doing. It just doesn't have any relation to it. There's enough flaws in that theory now to say something else must be happening. You can't render images with randomness. The photons are in certain positions coming through the slits. They can't randomly go somewhere. They have to go very specifically from each location. They have to hit each one of the other places. The same image has to go to all locations. Wave theory don't do that. It's been debunked. Make a counter argument out of something. Dumbasses. Alright, enough of the video. Fucking internet. Fucking retards. Just hate this planet. Just hate it.